Welcome back, everybody. This is Brother Meeting here. Today we're going to make you an unmodded build for Octavia. We had to free her and Ragongar to actually do this proper, mostly because I couldn't find online where their level 1 and level 2 stats were. So I had no idea what kind of skills they had at the very beginning. I could find what people did from level 3 on up, and that's because the earliest you can free these guys is level 2. I have mods in this game, so you will know that there will be differences you see pop up. I will steer you away from them, so again, don't worry about that. This is vanilla version game, so console members are perfectly fine playing it with the character I'm about to make you. But we will use Bag of Tricks as a mod as well to level the character up. So let's actually get into it, shall we? Let's see. So Octavia is a unique duck in that she is one of your first characters that they hand you, or the only character, matter of fact, that I think of that they hand you that is literally cross-specified. That means that she's double-dipped. She is a one-level rogue, one-level wizard, and a specialist wizard at that, in the School of Transmutation. Now, I was, and I may still do, a video where I've modded her out, where I take away the wizard transmutation dip and change it to something a little more useful. But on that note, that would require a complete respecialization, and that is actually another mod that you would need to do that, which I have downloaded and toyed around with. But here's Octavia. Just shut some of her stuff off here so that we can actually take a look at what she has to offer. She has a strength of 10, dex of 17, an odd number, con of 8, intelligence of 19, another odd number, 10 wisdom, 14 charisma. One level rogue, one level wizard. As I said, specialist. The odd number twice is a problem, simply because by the end of your build, you will literally have 5 points to put in something, anything, spread it around or mix and match. But that means something's always going to end with an odd number. I recommend Dex because intelligence is too good for her. She has a high intelligence, pumping 5 points into that to get it to 24 by the end of the build is extra spells a day, and that really is her cup of tea. So that's something that you definitely want. Note that she can also scribe spells. You definitely want to do this when you find stuff. I have a mod, of course, that highlights them, so it makes it a little easier for myself. But by and large, all you have to do is just run through them one at a time, go right-click, and say, copy to spellbook, right-click, copy to spellbook. It just lights them up for me, for the ones that she doesn't have already learned, which is, again, extremely valuable and valuable for those of us that have mods. The character itself, if you look at her spellbook, note that she has a caster level 1, spell penetration 1. It's because she's a 1th level wizard. This is basically equal to your wizard level or your spell casting level, if you will. Because most people will take her 1 level rogue, never touch it again, 9 levels of wizard eventually, and then 10 levels of Arcane Trickster, which is exactly the build I'm going to show you today. She will finish with a caster level of 19, a spell pen of 19, unless you do something about it. Now, again, with mods, I can make that 19 go away, make it turn into a 20. But we're not doing that. Again, if I do spell pen or greater spell pen, that can bring that 19 up to a 21 or a 23. Again, there's a variety of ways to solve that problem. And again, you have access to that in the vanilla version of the game. Concentration, I can't even remember how the hell that thing got calculated. But know that the fact that she has a terrible con stat is really going to hamper her usefulness early on. That's really the problem that most people have with this character. And I'd say probably until level 6 or 7 and you start gearing her out properly, she kind of sucks. So I would honestly not take her with. If you have teammate share with the XP, where everyone back in your base, like where Gongar is right now, where he gets XP equal to what the team gets, then leave her behind. So when you finally take Gongar, who's reasonably decent right off the get-go, you can actually level her up without ever touching her, and without ever taking her out into the battlefield. Get her to level 4, 5, 6 even, and you'll actually feel a lot better about having her on the team. But right now, she's going to die like every goddamn fight. And it's just nothing you really can do about it. Like an arrow to the chest, she's dead. An extra crossbow to the face, she's dead. Someone throws a fireball spell over to her, she's dead. Again, it's not going to be pretty. No skill-wise for the first level. So not only did she get Rogue 1 as her first level, she got a lot of different feats. Weapon finesse being 1 for free. She also has access to simple weapons. This is something wizards do not have access to. Wizards have access to enough stuff to do what they needed to do, but simple weapons is enough to really make her viable in a lot of things, because you need weapon finesse on a character like this. And again, we have that thanks to the rogue dip. If you would ever take her melee, not that you really want to. Other stuff about her, though, is that she has, again, rapier sap, which doesn't exist in the game, a short sword and a short bow. She can use light armor, but remember, because she's a wizard, any armor impedes her movements, and as such, that's arcane spell failure, so you need to keep an eye on that thing. If it's not a problem for you, go ahead and use it. There's ways around it. Again, vanilla version of the game, I can show you how to do that too. Knows that for being a wizard, or sorry, I should say at first level, she also got skill focus trickery for being a half elf. They get a skill focus in something of their choice. They pick trickery, so this is literally tells you the way they were making this character for you. She's going to be your sneak thief. She's going to be your arcane trickster. Perfect synergy for this. She also has point blank shot, and that's going to be good / a problem later on, as I'll show you. As a second level, they took a dip into wizard, which is what I suggest you continue with. We're going to have spell focus transmutation for free as one of our wizard bonus feats. Because we're not going to go to 10 level of wizards or higher, we're going to stuck here at 9. We're only going to get one more of those bonus wizard feats. So that's a thing. Notice that she doesn't have a familiar. She has what's called an arcane bond. This basically is nothing more than any spell that she casts in a day, any spell. She can literally resummon it and say, oh, I need that again. Poof, and it's back in her tray. There's a trick on that, though, and I'll show you that once we get into the actual playing of the character. For transmutation, that's the school that she specialized in. You didn't have to do this. You could have been a universalist. Again, if you respec her out of this, you could totally do that. But the transmutation school is an issue because this means that you get a free spell at every level, 1 through 9. Remember, she's going to be a wizard proper, so she'll be able to cast spells 1 through 9 by the end of the build. She'll get a free spell that can only come from this school. That's awesome, because there's a lot of good spells in there. Not my first choice for a character like this. She's a glass cannon, so glass cannon should get things like evocation. Hell, even conjuration would have been an upgrade, in my opinion. And then what's worse, because she went specialist in this, she also has to take 2 opposition schools, which means not that she can't cast those spells, just that she has to put extra effort into casting these spells. So here's abjuration and necromancy. Now let's think about what we've done here. We have self-buffs type spells. Think of your haste, bulls, strength, bears, endurance, things of this nature. Transformation falls under this category. There's some attack spells in here, but not a lot. The ones that do quote-unquote attack, you can think of things like slow. And again, web spell I think still falls under the transmutation, even though I always thought it was a conjuration spell, but whatever. So there's some, just not many, and certainly not a lot that do damage. The other 2 schools that she hates, abjuration, is buffs, shield spells and stuff of this nature that basically are going to protect her, and she's an extra squishy toon, so this really sucks for her. Notice also necromancy, stuff that drains life force, stuff that gives temp HP, stuff that weakens the bad guys, all that shit falls under this category. And again, for someone that's extra squish, temp HP, a weaker attacking opponent is a solid bonus for her. So she's literally built for being someone that's going to die fast and quick. This really sucks. So again, we can't do anything about this unless you were to respec out, and again, that would require mods, I think. I don't think you can respec even in the vanilla version of the game. They may have changed that. You should check that out. And the person to check that out with, by the way, for those of you that don't know, and this is not spoiling the game, because within the first hour of the game, you actually found this character. In Oleg's trading post, there is a Pathfinder Society member that's over inside his house talking with Tatiana, or whatever his wife's name is. And she, the lady, she literally can respec your character. I don't know if she can respec any of your other characters. And that might be interesting, because if you could respec this out, you might be able to change that up. That would be okay. It would cost you some money, of course, too. Of course, she has her typical wizardly things, the weapons that she uses. Nothing that's different from a rogue, as far as I know. And detect magic, which is the default for any other caster types. Also, she gets cantrips, of course, like a wizard should. And as such, this is actually how she's going to be able to do raise spells. So again, remember we talked about our point blank shot? Precise shot is another thing that you're going to want to get so you can fire into melee combat. Basically your team up front, corralling around a bad guy so she can shoot them in the face with acid splash without hurting you. Not that happens. I'm just saying that they make her take a penalty to her swing if she doesn't have precise shot. Downside is we can't grab it at level 3. That's, again, the real reason that this sucks here. So that's your character in a nutshell. Let's actually level her up, shall we? All right, she's level 20 now. So what would most people do, including me, for a vanilla build? Again, you want to take your wizard. You want to get her to Arcane Trickster, I assume, ASAP, because it unlocks a lot of cool stuff. Not only the ability to continue your spellcasting progression, You're good at reflexes and will saves, which is extremely valuable for someone that's squishy like her, because again, reflex saves usually means you take less damage from like incoming attacks. Notice, sneak attack, impromptu sneak attack, and impromptu sneak attack. Sneak attack is just a die. If they can be sneak attacked, then you get extra damage, which of course is part of the goal. She's a flash in the pan, a glass cannon. This is exactly what she's made for. Impromptu sneak attack is a toggle that will let you catch the opponent flat-footed for that one attack, for that one round, I should say, of attacks. And as such, because they're flat-footed, if they can be sneak attacked, because remember, some can be immune, then they can suddenly get sneak attack damage guaranteed. Doesn't mean they have to be flanked. You don't have to be invisible. You haven't to do anything special other than have this toggle on and shoot them. Bam, sneak attack damage. That's why people love the Arcane Trickster. Just one of the many reasons. Notice at the very end, at level 9 and level 10, level 9 you have a toggle that allows you to go greater invis on a moment's notice. Up to 9 rounds a day, because you're level 9. At level 10, it's 10 rounds a day. And that literally can be shut off and turned on at whenever you feel. So you don't have to use all 10 rounds. It can be a round just to start the fight off. And it is just like you have greater invis on, which means you have displacement level of protection, which means total concealment, 50% chance to straight up miss you. Doesn't matter if your armor is 0 or 1,000,000. They shoot at you. Doesn't matter if their attack bonus is 5,000 or 1. If they roll 50% on a 100% die, if they roll 50% or less, they miss. Anything above 50% is still a hit, or still a chance to hit, I should say. And then they roll their 1 to 20 to see if they hit you. So again, this is really, really good protection. And of course, this adds other stuff, like you can sneak attack while you're invisible. You get a bonus to your attack because you're concealed, unless they can see you. They have a penalty to their dexterity because they can't see you and they don't know when to dodge out of the way. This is an amazing upgrade. And again, just as good as having greater invisibility, but on tap. That's why you like this one. And there's like one piece of gear, at least out there in the game, that'll give you extra levels of, or rounds of this to use. Again, who cares? I mean, I think it's like 5. So eventually you can get to, say, 15 rounds a day. Just pack another greater invisibility spell. But still, it's free, and you'll take it, and you'll like it. So again, it is a solid choice. I use this when I run out of spells. You know, when I'm literally down on my luck and I've burnt up all my greater invis or vanish spells. Suddenly, oh shit, I got that toggle. Yeah, let's use that thing. So again, or if it's just a quick skirmish, you know, like you get jumped in the woods, you turn on Invisible Thief for that one round that the fight's going to probably last. Get your sneak attack damage off with something like a silly-ass free cantrip, and do 1d3 acid damage plus 7d6 sneak attack damage to that one little kobold jackass or whatever, and poof, it dies. Again, it's just an easy way to do things. Level 10, on the other hand, and this is the real reason you go 10 levels of Arcane Trickster, is surprise spells. Now, what does this do? This literally allows you to take any spell that does damage, with the exception of a few. But by and large, most spells that do straight up damage, like think your fireball, your lightning bolt, stuff of this nature, flash in the pan damage, AoE style, and it literally now allows you to do sneak attack damage through them. Think about what I just said there. A 10d6 fireball spell, we can add another, say, 7d6 of sneak attack damage to that, if everyone's surprised, or if you're invisible, which again, we just showed you a way you can do that, or in a way that you literally flat-footed the opponent. So again, they're guaranteed to be sneak attacked if they can be sneak attacked. Starting off a fight where you fling out a fireball spell that would weaken the bad guys is awesome. Starting out a fight where you fling out a fireball spell where you're catching them flat-footed and suddenly it kills most of the bad guys is awesome. And this is why you love this character, because again, she is the epitome of the glass cannon. So that's why we're going Arcane Trickster. So as soon as we can get it, would be level 5 to start. Why? Because if you look at the requirements for Arcane Trickster, we need Trickery 4, that would only happen here. Mobility 4, same. Knowledge 4, again, same. And you have to make sure you're grabbing the right things. And I routinely forget this and grab Stealth instead of Mobility, because I just don't think about it. That's why this pop-up window is nice. Just hover your cursor over here. For us, well, on PC anyway, you can right-click it and pop up the menu. Whatever you would do on console, do the same thing. And it just reminds you of what you have to invest in. I honestly leave this up when I'm leveling the character up so I can actually see some stuff. Also notice that we need another sneak attack die. This is the reason that we need this feat right here. And then at level 4, we'll need to get all those points up like we said. And we also need to be able to cast 2nd level arcane spells. Well, a wizard can cast them at level 3. But we're not a wizard level 3, we're wizard level 2 right now, because of the 1 level rogue dip. That's why 4 levels here is a 3 level wizard, 1 level rogue. This is the first time you can get Arcane Trickster, and that's what most people shoot for. So let's get into it. First, again, mobility, Trickery, not Stealth. I mean, you want it, but not yet. Knowledge, Arcana. Those are the ones I focus on, make sure that they go up so I can see and I don't have to keep thinking about it. Now, you can unlock Use Magic Device. We will get this to 20 eventually. I will never touch Persuasion again. I think it's silly that they gave it to her, but we'll give her Perception, because why the hell not? And again, we're working on the other stuff now. So, Accomplished Sneak Attacker is the one and only feat that you have no choice to take if you want to start Arcane Trickster by here. This is the problem. Again, which would you rather have? The ability to do some extra sneak attack damage early on, that's potent. But if you're firing into melee combat, you see the problem. You don't have precise shot yet. That's the -4 penalty I was mentioning a moment ago. That sucks. So people are like, oh, I want precise shot. And then you've delayed now getting an Accomplished Sneak Attacker, which means you grab that here, and that means this would be the soonest now that you'd start your Arcane Trickster. It only delays it by a level, but it's annoying. And again, some people don't want that. So again, on you for which way to go. Can you live waiting till level 6 to start Arcane Trickster? That means you're going to be probably into Chapter 2 before you even get your first level of Arcane Trickster. Again, that's not the worst thing ever. It's not that big a deal. And you're not really missing out on terribly too much, because I don't even think you get a sneak attack die on the very first level. So, it's up to you. But this is the fastest way. For here, because she is a wizard, as you can see, we've already started to describe stuff to her book, even though we don't have level 2 spells yet. You see, we've already grabbed a Scorching Ray for her. I think they have that on our person, free of charge, waiting for her, which is awesome. From the list that you see here, you can see we have ones that are color-coded. These are her penalty schools. In this case, Abjuration. If we grab, say, any of these other ones down here, like, say, Raven Feedment, you'll see it is all color-coded as well, because it's the Necromancy. Again, 2 slots to cast at one time. That's all this really means for you. I think you have no issue with casting them from wands. You may need Use Magic Device check on that, so that's another reason we're pumping Use Magic Device, but I can't remember. It is something that most wizards would have grabbed anyway, so I'm not particularly worried about it. And she has so much intelligence that we're going to level up to 20 lots and lots of skills, so I'm not particularly worried. But know that that might be a thing that comes along. Same with like using it from a scroll. And that's a bummer, because again, for example, Shield Spell is an amazing spell. This is a solid buff for your character who's super squish. So not having that on tap, and again, it's a personal spell. That means I can't, as your wizard buddy, cast Shield Spell on you. Nope. So you literally don't get this unless you find it in scroll or wand form, or maybe in a piece of gear that allows you to cast it multiple times in a day, which does exist in the game. It's just not something they're going to hand you at level 3. So be aware that that's going to be an issue. What I suggest for the stuff like this, though, and so I'm not going to dwell too much on this, is I'm going to point out spells, for example, that aren't available to the vanilla version of the game. So Detect Secret Doors is a fine example. How do you know this? Well, one, I play the game a lot, but two, if I click it, notice that it's a divination spell, and it's green. How the hell is it green? It's not a transmutation spell, and that's a problem. This is because the person that coded this mod for me, the Eldritch Arcana mod, didn't know how to set this up in a way where, school specialty takes a back seat, where they actually know that it's not a transmutation spell, where they know it's an abjuration spell. Sometimes you'll actually be able to slot, for example, this spell. Remember the free spell slot you get at level 1, 2, and all the way to level 9? That's a transmutation. This one can be slotted in that. That's clearly wrong, so don't do that. But I'm not going to grab this spell either. Ones that you may like, don't grab all the ones that are thumbs up either, just because they're your transmutation school. I mean, you can, I suppose, but none of these are that amazing. Think of, like, for example, this one, Touch of Gracelessness. And it's an amazing spell, but it's a melee spell, touch range. Can she handle being in touch range? Probably no. Do you really want to walk in on a big mean fighter, or a rogue type for that matter, and go boop on the shoulder to lower their dexterity? Sure, you would love to do it, but can she survive it? Probably not. At least not at the early level, so I'd pass on that. I mean, scribe it when you find them, sure. But by and large, her job is to stay at distance, control the battlefield, and that's kind of her early role, in my opinion. So we'll take Grease as a fine example. It never hurts to be able to hit targets, so True Strike is another viable choice for her, in my opinion. Or you can go, say, Ear Piercing Scream for some auto hit power, sonic damage versus your Magic Missile, for instance. This is a little different, and it has a daze effect associated with it, which is kind of nice. But Magic Missile is a tried and true method of hurting bad guys. But my other advice to you, which I, of course, never got to, was when it comes to picking spells, literally just pick the ones that you know you want. Because, again, while, yeah, you can find it in the wild, so to speak, you're not guaranteed to get it anytime soon, unless you know where that fireball scroll is, for example. It's one of those where if the vendor has it, great. But if not, I really wanted fireball. And if I wait like 3 chapters just to find a fireball scroll, I'm going to be freaking pissed. So grab it now. That's what I'm saying. So if you see something on the list, grab it. The only other advice to give would be make sure at every new level, like right now we're at level 2, right? Always grab your specialty school, at least one spell. Why? Because remember, you have that free slot, but only for your specialty school. And if you don't grab at least one transmutation spell for this, in this case, then you don't have that free spell, right? So in this case, I'll grab Web. It's an amazing transmutation spell. We could have grabbed like Bear's Endurance because again, her con straight up sucks. So this would be a nice +4 to it. 8 going to 12 is a lot better for her. Trust me on that one. It's not amazing, but still it does help. And she gets tired a lot, so that's a problem. But this doesn't last for hours; this lasts for minutes. So I say pass on it for the time being. Ray spells though is her cup of tea. So Acid Arrow and Scorching Ray, which we already have, and then from there, things that buff you is always of concern. So Blur is a staple for me, but honestly, for her, she is so squishy. I think that Mirror Image might be your better bet. Why? Because Blur is a 20% chance to straight up miss you, and it lasts for a long time. Mirror Image is just straight up, they surround you with up to 8 versions of yourself. So you're in the center. The bad guys don't know this, but you're in the center, and then if you form a pinwheel around you in a box shape. So basically, upper left, middle, upper right, to the side, back right, right behind you, back left, and then to your left is a copy of you. Now that does not mean they have to kill all those 8 things before they can hit you. What it does mean is they shoot at you, let's say, with a crossbow. They roll on that however many duplicates there are plus you, and only if they hit you does it hit you. If it doesn't, if it hits something, then it could hit one of the mirror images. Now that mirror image goes away. So you see what it just did there? It basically sucked up all the damage, but only single target stuff. So this will do you a damn bit of good against like AoE fireball stuff. So that's always the thing. And the other, Blur, this is the same general principle. It doesn't protect you at all from AoE damage, but what it does do is single target stuff just has a straight up 20% chance to miss you. Of course, you want both of those buffs, but again, you'll scribe them when you find them, and I'm not too worried about that. But this is just a solid way to toughen up your character right now. Now, you see, a wizard, we can keep going with it, and we could get it to 5, maybe say to get that bonus wizard feat. Maybe you really think that that's important. But if not, again, Arcane Trickster as soon as possible, right? And this now unlocks all this fun stuff here. This is just your spell casting. There's no delay in your spell casting. That's why we're going to get to caster level 19 with this build. But this is also a ranged trickery ability. So basically you have ghost hands that you can send out at 30 feet to pick locks and disarm traps. Now, why am I gesturing? You can't see me. But why would you do this, especially seeing that it's at a penalty, a +5 to the DC check, because it's so hard to do at range? Well, if you're playing, say, Last Aslanti mode, where you basically have one save file, and it is only when you shut the game off. Like, I'm tired today, I want to go to bed, I'm done playing. You stop the game, it automatically saves. If you die, the whole team dies, then the game's over. Literally, it erases your save file, you're done. And that's the Last Aslanti mode. That's crazy mode, I would never do that, but I've seen people do it and have fun with it. This would be a way to make sure that your character is less likely to get rolled over by a boulder, Indiana Jones style. So you're at distance, picking that lock or disarming that trap, and if something springs out, she's probably not in the area of effect. That's the reason you would use this. Of course, this is also a carryover probably from the pen and paper version of the game. I can't remember, I assume so. And as such, this is just flavor more than anything else. I wouldn't use it, but in its Last Aslanti mode, I probably would. Just saying. Going wizard, because again, that's the only thing we can go. On that, I should go back to talk about this. I have done builds where I was a wizard, and then I will say, I don't know, like an Arcane Trickster, so that I could get my sneak attack and get some other spells besides. Because I got both of them where they could cast level 2 spells, which for a wizard is level 3, and for an Arcane Trickster is level 4. So I was level 7 before I even started 10 levels of Arcane Trickster. It gave me a choice. Which do you want to progress? Your wizardly abilities or your Arcane Trickster abilities? Well, Arcane Tricksters can only cast up to level 6. That would be stupid. So obviously wizard. Same with like if you went sorcerer wizard for some weird ass reason. It would be 4 levels of sorcerer to get to level 2 and 3 levels of wizard to get to level 7. You'd have to find a sneak attack die in there somewhere, probably like a level 1 rogue dip, So at level 9 would be the earliest chance for you to make that character Arcane Trickster. And again, we give you a choice. Do you want to be a wizard or a sorcerer? And again, I can't tell you which you would prefer. I just know that wizards have more flexibility in their spellbook. So again, if you have choices, you probably want the best caster of the two. Let's level these guys up. Now, I'm not going to level up mobility anymore, because now that we're at Arcane Trickster, we don't have to give a rat's ass about it. The ones that I just took to 5, and now use Magic Device, I want to try to get it to catch up with the others as well. Those ones we're going to try to push to 20 every level. Trickery, Knowledge Arcana, Perception, and Use Magic Device will go up. And then we'll work on other stuff as well. From here, remember that precise shot you've been missing? Again, this will really allow her to hit a lot more stuff, especially with like her bow. She does have a short bow, or can have a short bow, because of her rogue dip. She has the ability to use the short bow because of that, and only that. And again, that's something. So if you have short bows, especially composite short bows, even though she has no real strength, you can give her buffs, gear, things that would increase her strength, and as such, she can do more damage than with that bow. Give it to her. You're probably going to give the long bows to Ekendayo or your main character, I assume, and as such, the short bows then can go to this character. And that way, when she runs out of spells, not counting her cantrips, she'll have an option. Do you shoot one cantrip and hope for some sneak attack love, or do you shoot a bow and maybe get 2-3 shots off, depending on how good your base attack bonus is? And again, you can still get sneak attack off those. But precise shot goes a long way to solving your problems. From here, I'm going to grab that Acid Arrow because another raise spell is another raise spell, and I'm going to grab Blur for some extra protection. Oh wait, I take that back. I'm going to grab Sense Vitals. This is a spell that allows you to add sneak attack damage to your character, even if you didn't have it. She does, so it stacks with it. So it starts off at like 1d6, and then eventually by level 15 caster level, she'll be at 5d6. And that adds to what she's going to get from being an Arcane Trickster and that 1-level Rogue Dip and the Accomplished Sneak Attacker feat. Now all of those combined is 1 for Rogue, 1 for the Accomplished Sneak Attacker, 5 more for going 10 levels into Arcane Trickster, 1 at each even level. So that's a plus 7d6, and then 5d6 maximum from this spell. That means she could do 12d6 of sneak attack damage, best case scenario. And that can even go a little higher with certain gear. Some gear provides you like another 1d6 or another 2d6, just depending on the type of gear we're talking about. But that's a solid upgrade for her, is my point. Going Arcane Trickster. Okay, now from here, I don't think Greater Magic Weapon is available to you. It's a damn shame, because it should have been implemented in the game. It's easy enough to do. So again, how do you check? Well, it doesn't help you because, again, it's Transmutation, but I'm fairly certain that doesn't exist in your game. Haste, on the other hand, is awesome, and I don't even think you have access to Fly and Overland Flight, which really sucks because those are amazing. So we're basically limited to like Beast Shape, Haste, and Slow. Both are good. Beast Shape, no, but both these Haste and Slow spells are good. Haste is an obvious buff for you and your team. Slow spells an obvious debuff to the bad guys, and again, DC check. Remember, you have spell focus Transmutation. So you have a little bit of oomph behind making this land, is my point. I'm not saying that you want it more than Haste. And the way to think about these two, just to deviate a little bit, is this. Haste is a 1 round per caster level buff for you and every teammate near you. Slow is a 1 round per level debuff to all the bad guys. Teammate friendly, amazing spell. However, how long is that going to last you? Even best case scenario for her right now is going to be 19 rounds by the end of the build, right? So, is that going to be the fight? It'll probably be beyond the fight, which doesn't do them much good because they're already dead. I mean, the whole point was you kill them, right? So that 19 rounds really isn't that impressive, really. But now here, 19 rounds of buff means you could probably wipe these bastards out in like 3 rounds and then still have that buff while you proceed into the next room and still be buffed with haste. You see what I just did there? Haste is more useful. It's not to say that slow's not important. You'll get them both. But if you had to choose between the two, get the one that buffs you and your team first, is my point. Battering Blast is a nice race spell. We're definitely grabbing it. I just want to see if there's anything else in here that's worthwhile. Stinking Cloud is a solid choice. Paralysis spells are amazing. Of course, AoE damage is still your thing, even if you can't do sneak attack damage with it yet. It's still solid damage. Displacement, solid protection, but I think we'll grab that Battering Blast. From here, the choice for you is, do you want to focus on your spell casting right now, or do you want to focus on your ranged attacks right now? For example, you can get Rapid Shot, an extra arrow from your short bow, or crossbow for that matter. We can get Deadly Aim, extra damage. Both of those are a penalty to your swing. And, worse yet, they're a penalty to your swing even with a race spell. What's worse, they do not benefit your race spell. So, like Deadly Aim, which gives you a buff to damage but a penalty to your swing, that doesn't do a goddamn bit of good for your ray spells. So shut these off is my point to you if you pick them before you start beaming out them ray spells. Otherwise, you'll be at like a -5 penalty to your swing, and screw that. So, if that's not your thing, Arcane Strike, by the way, is an all plus, no minus buff to damage. Now, sadly, because you're not going to get cast for level 20, you will not get to +5 by the end of the build, but you will be at +4. And again, that's free damage. All you got to do is just activate it. It's a little toggle. It likes to shut itself off, so leave it in your tray. But if that's not your thing, then we probably want to start focusing on spells. For example, Meta Magic. Now, there's some in here because of my mod that you don't have access to. I'm not going to list them. But I will list the ones that are probably a good contender for you to take. So let's start with Empower or Maximize. That's basically extra damage. Full damage or 50% extra damage. Now, not necessarily full. It could be beyond full. Most people swear between these two meta magics, the one you would want would be Empower. I haven't done the math on that, but notice that it says level increase +2 in the little pop-up window here. Actually, I'll just right-click it and show it to you. That little +2, that means if I empower a level 1 spell, say Snowball, it is 50% extra whatever, in this case damage, and then it would be cast as a level 3 spell, which we have access to, and that's fine, but it's not the point. That's a big oomph to go from a level 1 spell to level 3, because that's only a single target damaging spell, and I could cast, say, the Fireball, Lightning Bolt from here, and that would be AoE and do more damage. You see the appeal? So this is kind of a weird one. But again, we could do the same with Fireball. Level 3 spell, being empowered, suddenly is a level 5 spell. Now maybe that's worth it to you. I can't tell you if it is or not. Maximize, on the other hand, is even worse in that it's +3. So level 1 jumps to 4, 3 jumps to 6, 6 jumps to 9. But it guarantees full whatever, in this case damage. Okay, so Fireball 10d6 is suddenly 60 damage, period, when you maximize it. Now, yeah, they can reflex save out of it for half damage or no damage if they have evasion, but the point's still the same. You know how much damage is going to hit the bastard. It's not going to be you roll all ones like some kind of goober and get 10 points of damage on them with a Fireball spell. No, it's 60. Boom. And for other spells that do more damage, like Chain Lightning, for example, it's a level 6 spell. Maximize that to level 9. That little bastard is a 20d6. At best case scenario for you would be 19d6. But let's just say you were 20d6. That's 120 damage, AoE style, teammate friendly no less. And guaranteed 120 unless, of course, they reflex save or are immune to electricity. You can see the appeal of these buffs. I'm not a fan of the big ones like that because, again, it is pricey, spell slot-wise. But some that are low-level cost +1 buffs, which is the minimum you're ever going to see, Extend or Reach are kind of my go-tos. Why? Extend. Think about those buffs. Remember our shield spell? You have to slot it 2 times to use it once, right? What if you extend it? Still 2 slots to cast it, but now you got double the duration. So while you feel like you're wasting 2 slots, you're really not, are you? You're getting it for the full duration now. So that's an appealing point for this one. And other buffs besides, so like Blur, Mirror Image, Invisibility, Greater Invis, all that shit can be extended. And again, taking it from 1 to 2 or 3 to 4 or 5 to 6 is not that impressive of a bump that it scares me to want to do it. So that's not bad. Many of your damaging spells are instantaneous though and don't have an extend function. Not that that matters, I'm just saying. There's a couple that do. For example, Snowball. Not only does it do damage, but it has a stagger effect for 1 round. It has a duration. Because of that, you can extend it. So when it does get staggered, it will last 2 rounds. That's not amazing, but it's better than nothing. Just saying. So that's appealing. The Reach one is nothing more that you shoot the spell farther. And this will not work on spells that are cone spells or narrow cone spells, like Lightning Bolt is a narrow cone, like a straight line. It's not a beam spell, not a ray spell, but it's a narrow line, hits AoE style. You can't reach those. Same with your cone spells. Fireball, you can't do it, but not because of the fact that it's AoE. You can't do it because the range of Fireball is already long. So your range categories in this game are close, which is short, however you want to think of it. Close range, medium range, long range. Okay, so literally, if it's close range, now it's suddenly, I should also say touch is another category. Touch goes to close if you reach it. Close goes to medium if you reach it. Medium can go to long if you reach it. Long, you can't buff it at all. Okay, so this is not bad. And the fact that you can literally reach touch attacks, remember we talked about in things like your Touch of Gracelessness / your Shocking Grasp or your Vampiric Touch. All touch spells She doesn't want to get within touch range of those bastards, but she could reach them and then shoot them at a distance. Now, it's only like 30 feet, but so what? She could stand behind the meleeers and go vampiric touch and damage the bad guy and get her some temp HP at the same damn time. You can see the appeal. So we're going to go with reach, in my opinion. From here, I'll grab slow, because why the hell not? And I'll grab heroism as a buff. This is an amazing buff for your character, and any character for that matter. Solid buff, 10 minutes per caster level, which is amazing. Plus 2 morale bonus, remember that, because that means they won't stack with other morale bonuses. But 2 your attack rolls, which she desperately needs. That includes her raise spells, using a bow, any melee attack that she does. That's a solid plus 2 to her swing. Plus 2 to her saves, which she could definitely use, especially for her fortitude, which sucks. And a plus 2 to her skill checks, since she's kind of our skill monkey right now, including the bard. But she could cast this on anybody, including our bard. So again, a solid spell to grab. Going Arcane Trickster. Spell-wise, the only spell on the entire list that you can actually damage somebody with is a Transmutation spell. And Obsidian Flow is a good one. This is one of the few Transmutation spells that does damage. Maximum 10d6, which is not bad. And it's fire damage. But this is one that it slows them down. It's a ground-based effect. Slows them down after you burn a patch into the ground, because its sharp pieces of jagged glass hits Obsidian Flow. And it literally burns them instantly. Then after that, they don't take damage from it unless they slippy slide and fall down. When they fall down, they hurt themselves on the glass. So I want to say, yeah, 1d6 of damage for falling down. If they stand back up and fall down again, they'll take another 1d6 of damage. But if they fall down and stay down, they won't continually take damage, like I thought, which is a shame. But it's a massive penalty for these bastards, and they have to be careful when they walk through the glass. You too, and so with your team. So you all creepy crawl, slow down when you get into this effect. It's considered difficult terrain. So if you have immunity to difficult terrain, you don't have any problem after the Obsidian Flow is cast. So don't cast it under your feet and burn yourself like a doofus, unless you happen to be immune to fire. Cast it just in front of you, and let the bad guys run into it or get hurt by it. And when they run into it or stay in it, they're literally slow. You can run in it now because you're immune to difficult terrain. You can run and skitter all the way through it and never have any problems. Lead them on a little merry chase while your teammates pick them off and kill them. From here, I'll grab something else like Dimension Door, Dragon's Breath, Greater Viz. Again, whichever one you think you need sooner than later. Okay, we had now our reached metamagic, excuse me. Do we want to get spell focused transmutation? I'm getting enough transmutation spells now that they do a check. And if they do a check, wouldn't you like it to be a +2 to the DC check instead of +1? I know I like that. Don't like that. Maybe you want arcane armor training. Remember, she has the ability to wear padded leather, studded leather, or chain shirts because of her rogue training. But again, arcane spell failure. Well, 10% can be removed from it with this feat. Highly recommend you grab it. Now you may say, well, we're going to give her robes. I'm going to give her braces of armor class +8. Cool. Do you have those right now? No? Well, then give her some goddamn armor. And this will allow you to cast spells without being penalized. So basically this will work for leather, which is a 10% arcane spell failure. And of course that can be magic leather armor. Same with padded armor is only a 5%. So again, she can wear both those types right now and not be penalized at all, is my point. From here, level 4 again, I'm going to grab, well, let's get that Dimension Door, and let's get that, well, I'll give you something a little different. Let's get you a Wall of Fire. Doesn't exist in your game, sorry. And how do I know that? Again, I'll just grab it. You can see that it's got green, but it's evocation, so clearly it's not. I will get you Overwhelming Grief. Overwhelming Grief, for those of you that don't know, makes them flat-footed. They lose their dexterity bonus, if any. That's the definition of flat-footed. And they have to take a penalty to their armor class besides that. This is an amazing single-target spell. If you need to set up sneak attack, this does it. They're the epitome of flat-footed. They have no dex bonus. And again, just an amazing screw. Now, the downside is constant will saves to see if they get around that. But again, who sucks at will saves? That's right, fighters that are going to come and kick you in the teeth. So, will save that, or Overwhelming Grief that bastard. Make him doubt his intentions, and he's pouting and boo-hooing about how his life sucks, and then you shoot him in the face with multiple arrows or ray spells, and of course sneak attack damage ensues. Amazing upgrade for your character. Level 5. What do you want on this list? And again, Overland Flight I don't think you have access to in the vanilla version of the game. Damn shame, because this again makes you immune to difficult terrain. Fucking amazing. Bonus to armor only against melee attacks, but again, she sucks at melee, so why not have some protection from it? And she would also have better mobility, which would be freaking awesome, and she moves 10 feet faster. This is an amazing spell. Sucks that you don't have it. Can't use it. I'm going to grab... Let's turn them into puppies. Again, a better DC check. You have that. Here you go. Don't like that. You have Genie Kind is a viable option for your character. And you can cast spells, I believe, in this form. This is nothing more than you have the innate ability of a genie, a freedy, a merid, or a shaitan. Basically, the 4 elements: acid, electric, cold, and fire. It gives you a bonus to your con. It gives you some natural armor bonus. Gives you a bonus to some saving throw types, and that's important. But the real reason most people take it is it gives them resistance to a specific type of damage, and it allows their melee or unarmed strikes to do damage of the appropriate type. So again, Genie will do electric damage per strike, fire damage for an Afridi, and on it goes. But you don't do melee attacks, so this really doesn't do you a damn bit of good down here except for the resistance. The con is useful, the armor is useful, and the fact that you can cast spells in this form is useful. So, you know, it's not the worst thing ever, but now look at the duration. Yeah, kind of sucks. Again, you'll get them all, so I don't particularly care. But Baleful Polymorph is a definite screw you to the bad guy. You turn him into a goddamn dog. They can't even attack you, which is even hilarious. I think that would be funny if they just could bite you. From here, other stuff to point out. We're going to grab Shadow Evocation just to jump to the punchline here. But honorable mentions for things like Cloud Kill if you have a teammate that can make you immune to poisons. Cloud Kill's amazing. So is Stinking Cloud. They're both poison spells. But Constricting Coils, Hold Monster, the lesser version of Constricting Coils in my opinion, and Icy Prison are all paralysis spells. Why is that important? Again, 0 dexterity. That's the definition of helpless. As such, once you've got them paralyzed, it's sneak attack time, baby. So again, you definitely want those spells too. But Shadow Evocation, for the utility of it alone, even for a wizard, this is amazing. I can cast a fireball spell now, or a lightning bolt, or a shout, or a whatever. So again, a solid upgrade in my opinion. Okay, from here we have, again, we just grabbed Arcane Armor Training. Again, maybe you do want to get that Transmutation up. We're getting a lot of spells now that you're hitting them a lot. Having it at +2 DC check would be a solid upgrade for you, I think. Spells in here now. I'm not going to grab Genie Kind. I'll grab something more interesting. Let's get you a 6 spray, does some solid damage. Fire Snake's teammate friendly. Maybe you want a Hungry Pit. Maybe you want one of those paralysis spells that does cold damage over time. And again, notice the difference here. Icy Prison not only is an evocation spell versus an enchantment like Constricting Coils, but look at the saving throw. Reflex versus Will. Which would you rather use on a fighter? Well, probably the Will. But why would you use the Reflex one on? Probably a wizard. So again, if you want to lock up a wizard, Icy Prison. You want to lock up a fighter, probably Constricting Coils. If you want to lock up a rogue, neither of these are appealing, but it definitely wouldn't be the Reflex one, which is this guy. So really, you'd probably go back to Constricting Coils against a rogue and hope for the best. Now, level 6. If you're not grabbing Disintegrate as a Transmuter as soon as you can, I have to wonder what the hell you're doing with your life. This is an amazing race spell. Best case scenario, if you're a level 20 caster, which you will not be, you do 40 d6 of damage with a race spell, plus sneak attack damage. Remember, we get that to 12 d6 easily in this build. So that's a solid screw you to a single target bad guy at a decent range, no less. But downside is they could make the save. We have a +2 to the DC check. It's not going to get much better than that. So again, we're doing pretty good for ourselves. But maybe they make the save. Maybe you're dumb and you hit it against a fighter and they have a high fortitude save and they make the check. Or they just roll a nat 20. That's always a possibility. But you do 5d6 of damage. At least you do something. And again, you still do sneak attack damage. So remember that 12d6? You're still doing 17d6 of damage to the son of a bitch. That's a lot more appealing when you say it that way, right? So just saying. So it's kind of cool. But Disintegrate's an amazing choice. From there, know that you don't have the knock spells, the mass knock spells. Again, that came from my mod. Tar Pool is the big brother version of Obsidian Flow. Does continual damage to the guys in the area of effect. Just not much, 2d6, but again, the first spike of 10d6 right up front is really nice. And it is difficult terrain because we're moving through tar. So again, they burn their little feetsies. And if, God forbid, they fall down, it's even harder for them to stand back up because they're stuck in the tar. So slap a grease spell on their ass. I know it sounds counterintuitive, but grease spell on top of this means they slippy slide, fall down, and now they're stuck in the tar. And it's even harder for them to stand the fuck back up. And that shit just gets funny. Transformation is another spell that you definitely want. Matter of fact, I'm going to grab it because, again, Transmutation spell. But again, increases your base attack bonus up to your character level, not your caster level, your character level. So right now you're level 12. Your BAB right now is probably, I'd even hazard a guess, probably a 5 right now, if that. So this still sucks. But now take this spell, use it, now you're up to a 12. That's like 3 attacks a round or some shit. That's not bad. Just saying, going from 1 attack a round or 2 attacks a round to 3, by the end of your build, you'll be able to do 4 attacks a round, and you get a solid fortitude buff, which she definitely, desperately needs. You just can't cast spells in that form, is the point. From here, what are you going to grab? I think it's time, high time, that you start grabbing yourself some ranged attack bonuses with your bow. Because, yeah, you can use raise spells all the time with your infinite use cantrips, but still, 2 attacks a round versus 1 attack a round. With sneak attack, you know which one you'd rather have. I'm going to grab that tire pool, because why the hell not? And I'm going to grab you a raise spell, like Hellfire Ray. Awesome. From here, I think you have access to all of these things. I'm going to grab Firebrand. This is the one that like makes you immune to fire, but also your weapons, including your ranged weapons, do extra fire damage on a hit, which is nice. It's AoE, so it's you and your team get this buff. And at any point, you or your teammate can literally take away the buff and shoot a once and done raise spell for fire damage at range. 66 of fire damage. And again, with her, sneak attack damage is applicable here. That's not bad. And again, I'll happily take that. And then I'm going to grab the limited wishes. Again, it's not available to you. Sorry, guys. It's part of the mod. I will go back and grab a spell. And I should have pointed out a while ago that if you, while leveling up, if you're like, oh, I really missed not getting ear piercing scream or, you know, resistant energy or whatever, you can do that. Just go back and pick it. You don't have to wait for scrolls to show up. So these are free picks for any spell that you have access to. I will grab though Greater Heroism because it is an amazing buff spell, especially for you. Obviously for anybody, but for you. Doesn't last forever. 19 minutes is a long time by the end of the game. And it's a morale bonus, so it won't stack with heroism, so know that. But +4 morale bonus on attack rolls, saves, skill checks. That's just like heroism, except it's +4 versus +2. Now we get immunity to fear and some temp hitch points equal to your caster level. So maximum for you is 19. But still, a solid upgrade for your character. You definitely appreciate that. Now we're done with that, and it's wizard all the time. From here, again, you got rapid shot. Now you can grab mini shot, get an extra arrow. If the first arrow hits, another one spits off of it and hits another guy, the same guy again. Auto hit, no less. Don't like that. Deadly aim, extra damage, penalty to your swing, so be real careful on that shit. But we have ways to buff you now, so that's an obvious choice. Again, Arcane Strike is available. We only got 3 feats to pick from, and then of course this guy here. So what do we want? Is there anything else that we'd rather have? Like say, oh, I don't know, how about Arcane Armor Mastery? That's another 10% to your Arcane Spell failure taken away. So a maximum of 20%. So chain shirts are a 20%. Studded leather are 15%. So now any light armor you can wear without being impeded with Arcane Spell failure is my point to you. And again, yeah, I know you can wear robes. Yeah, I know you can wear braces of armor class +8. And by now you probably got +4, 5, or 6s at least. Not the point. I like options. And again, this is what I'm giving you is options. There's a lot of good armor out there that gives you a lot of good buffs that she would not normally have access to unless you took those feats. For here, level 7, I'm going to grab me Resonating Word. It's an attack spell, a single target. It does damage, and then it does mega damage after that. So 3 rounds of tick, tick, boom. So a solid screw to a single target back. And again, remember, you have saving throws for that, but you have a +2 to the DC check on those saving throws. So again, harder for them to make those saves. Delayed Blast Fireball, again, is another one that's part of my mod. It's green, it's evocation, so we don't grab it. But Caustic Eruption, on the other hand, is available to you in a vanilla version of the game, and this is an amazing spell. 20d6 at best case scenario, AoE damage, not teammate friendly, but say you get trapped in a corner, like they break away from the fighter band and head you off to the pass, you run back to the corner and you're all alone, and they get within range of this spell, you cast this spell, and kaboom! 19d6 in best case scenario for you, AoE damage of acid. And then, if they fail their first saving throw, it does 2 more ticks of damage at half. So probably rounded down to 96 and then another 96 and just straight up screws those guys over. It's an amazing FU to the bad guys. And best part, no spell resistance. Always look for spells with no spell resistance. Now, wizard bonus feat. So not much to choose from in here that you don't already have. You get another meta magic if you so choose. Again, get extend, get maximize, get empowered. If you don't like that, I like spell pen. Remember, we had a problem with spell penetration being only 19 by the end of our build. Now it'll be 21 by the end of the build. So that's cool. From here, all these are good. There's nothing wrong with any of these. Even Dragonkind, which would make you stronger, and for a character that's not strong, it's kind of weird, but it's a plus 10. Tell me you can't go from 10 to 20 and be pretty impressed with your swing at this point. And you get more con, which she definitely needs. More armor, which she needs. And again, immunity to difficult terrain, the ability to breathe whatever type of dragon breath you pick, because you pick the type of dragon when you turn into it. You get multiple attacks. She suddenly is going to town. And all those attacks, you still have sneak attack available. So go greater invis, and you can cast spells in this form. Go Dragonkind 3, pick whatever you like. Maybe gold, maybe red, maybe whatever. And just maul the shit out of guys in a corner. Sneak attack, like 5-6 attacks in a combat round. Gets crazy. Of those, honestly, though, the one that I like is this generic buff. It's immunity to acid and cold. You can't pass up immunities, in my opinion. You get some resistance to physical incoming damage unless it's dealt by an evil weapon, which is unlikely. I mean, you're the bad guy in the game. They're probably good guys. If they're good guys in the game attacking you, we have problems. So the chance that it's an evil weapon is pretty slim to none. You get some saving throw bonuses to a variety of things, like poison, or just poison. You get the bonus AoE aura for you and your team. That's a deflection bonus and a resistance bonus. The same throws against evil targets. That's a solid upgrade. And again, you may have gear by this point that for most of the team that has, deflection of 4 or higher, or resistance bonus to all saving throws of 4 or higher. But the ones that don't, when they're near you, they'll benefit. So at the very least, it is helpful AoE style. From there, I'm going to grab a damaging ray spell called Polar Ray. Amazing spell. From here, I'm going to grab... So we got our other arcane armor. Yes, okay. So now it's time to get upgrades for your ranged attacks. So I say it's time for mini shadow. Spell-wise, I'm going to actually look for protection, see mantle, and greater shadow evocation, another amazing shadow evocation spell. Again, multi-spells in one. Chain Lightning, Cold Ice Strike, Key Shout, Sirocco, Caustic Eruption, which we just talked about, and Elemental Assessor, a ray spell. And again, a solid screed to the bad guys. Sea Mantle is a solid buff to you, like Fiery Body, the only transmutation spell you have at level 9. You definitely want this. You're definitely immune to fire in this form. You're immune to a variety of things in this form. And it lasts a good long while. This should be your first thing that you cast in most combats. For a variety of reasons. 1, immune to blindness, immune to critical hits, immune to ability score damage, disease, electricity, poison, and stunning. You have high resistance to acid. You take more damage from cold. They give you a +6 to your dex if you didn't have it already. You have unarmed damage, which you don't care about, but it does fire damage, and you're considered armed if you're taking unarmed attacks, which means there's less of a penalty. Notice that you heal from fire damage. Not only are you immune, but you heal from fire damage. So if you cast, say, Fireball at your feet, say a maximized Fireball where it does 60 points of damage guaranteed, it'll heal you for a third of that. 1 point for every 3 points of damage you would have taken. So instead of 60, you would have taken 20 that you heal. So if you need a spot heal, Fireball at your feet, and it AoE damages the bad guys around you at the same goddamn time. Amazing spell. And better than that, your fire spells get a bonus to their DC check by +1. Now, you may not think that's a big deal. You do have plenty of fire spells: Fireball, Controlled Fireball, Burning Arc, Burning Hands, etc. and so forth. You will have grabbed all those for your spell book. But remember, you have two transmutation spells that do fire damage: Obsidian Flow, Tar Pool. Those are already got a buff. This will be another buff. You'll appreciate this fiery body when you're doing stuff like that. Foresight, amazing buff to you for some armor. Insight bonus, which means it stacks with everything that's not an insight bonus. That's awesome. Bonus to your reflex saves, which is also an insight bonus. So again, stacks with everything else again, which is awesome. And the best part, you are never flat-footed while this spell is up, because you perceive the future. And of course, 10 minutes per level. I see the future. Moving on. For those of you that caught that joke, kudos. Wizard, we're getting at the end here. 19, last feat pick for you. We're going to grab what? Is it time to grab that Deadly Aim? Sure. If not, Arcane Strike. Okay, again, this is a +4 to damage. This will be like a +6. Eventually, it'll be a solid +12, but not always. But this one would be better because it's less of a penalty, but it shuts itself off, so keep an eye on it. If you don't like either of those, you are squishy as fuck. So get yourself an extra 20 HP by the end of the build. This will do it. I'm going to grab the toughness. From here, scroll back through the list. We'll get limited picks at this point. Is there anything race spell damage wise that we're missing out on? So good so far. Although I do want blur. Vampiric touch. Remember, we have reach spells. I want to show you that you can magic that shit. Yes, it's 2 slots to cast it, but for up to 60 HP for your character for an hour, that's a nice buff. Damn near doubled your HP when you hit him with that shit. So, just saying. Keep going. Last point in intelligence again. Bunch of skill points, which allows us to bring these guys almost all up to permanent. You get 19 and 19. So 4, 20, 19, 20, 19, 20 perception, 1 persuasion, which I can't take back, 20 use magic device. Solid character in my opinion. Then, last spells. What are we missing in my opinion? Innervation, race spell. Emergency force sphere is a unique one for my build. Animate dead, as much as I hate to say it. Summons are useful, especially summons that you can summon quickly. So I'm going to grab Animate Dead and Fireball, Acid Pit are good choices. Phantasmal Web. I'm looking for stuff that we might be able to even use with like your reach meta magic. I'm missing another race spell. What the hell am I missing? Elemental Cessor is a race spell. If you don't like that one, though, we also have Umbral Strike, which is a necromancy race spell. Lots of good stuff. Limited picks. Yeah, go back. I'm going to grab the Elemental Assessor. Okay. Calling it good. Now, first, let's have a hard discussion about gear. Okay. This is, again, I should actually show you the character official first. Hold on. So, Lona's at level 20, even with an extra 20 HP. That came only because I grabbed toughness at level 19. She's at a 93 HP right now. Now, yes, you're going to give her gear. Con's going to go up, and again, that'll be a better number. But still, she is squishy. It is always going to be an issue with her. Her attack bonus, straight up sucks. +9. Just for frame of reference, +20 is a fighter type. +15 would be like a Magus, like a mixed fighter slash caster hybrid. Rangers, again, fall in this category, I think. Notice wizards, pure wizards, would be a 10. So she's technically worse than a wizard. And yes, we also have a penalty thanks to rapid shot. So there's that too. Again, deadly aim, if we would have grabbed that, there'd be another penalty here, like a -3, I think. So again, you would have been screwed all kinds of ways for your swing. But again, we have spells to buff you. That's her saving grace. You know, stuff that buffs her dex, stuff that buffs her to hit bonus. Anything that works on those is a solid money maker for your character here. But again, that implies that you're not getting buffs into your health or your buffs to your armor, which you definitely need those too. So what do? Let's talk about gear. We have in the game, thanks to this mod, I can show you stuff that you might find. Let's actually just limit it to armor. We'll start talking about it. Well, we'll do armor and wrist items because I can give you the bracers that you need. So, no, we'll do that last. Armor. You have padded. We're not going to even look at. There's some in there that's interesting. By and large, it's leather. You know, I mean, we all know it. You're going to look at leather, studded leather, and chain shirt first off. So Blizzard's Heart, Burn Protector, Python Skin Doublet, Royal Guardian, Vest of Mirrors, Scorpion's Hatred, Stoic, Wolf, Oak's Pelt. I'm going over the named ones. Those that we have: Woodland's Aegis, Vest of 100 Pockets. We have Ghost Leather, Sage Armor. That should be good enough for our leathers. That includes studded leather. If we look up chain, that includes chain shirts and chain mail. And you'd be like, well, Brother Mutant, she doesn't have training in medium armor. I am aware of that. But she has 1 or 2 chain mails that count as chain shirts for the game. And I want you to see that. So let's grab our chain shirt of life. Mail of the Clear Skies is the one I'm thinking of. Assassin's chain shirt, Celestial Armor, Heavenly Vest. And again, Mithril chain shirts are money. 1, 2, Want to close down yet? Or no? Now I want to do the bracers too. For bracers, just type in, select wrist items only, type in A, search. The reason I want you to have options, we also want to do robes, is because I want you to see what kind of bracers you could use if you're not using the braces of armor class plus 8. Okay, there's a variety of them, not a bunch, but there is a variety. Go back to armor again and let's look up robes, which would be what most people would try to equip her with, which is nothing wrong with that. In this list, there's plenty of choices. A robe of transmutation, for example, gives her a bonus for her transmutation spells. Again, that's awesome. Doesn't give her any armor. Leviathan's gift is amazing, and so is the ambrosial attire of arcane annihilation. That's a fancy one. We'll just grab those 3. Call that good. Oh, and I also want it, because we're heavy now, I'm going to give myself bags of holding. And again, I know this is cheating, but this is just to demonstrate some stuff to you guys. Okay, now we're not overweight because, again, we have plenty of bags of holding to make stuff light. But I wanted to show you armor. Notice if it's red, she can't wear it. Okay, period. So the celestial armor here, complete garbage.
I don't like it.
Right? Same with Weaver's chainmail.
I don't want it.
Yeah, but now, here's studded leather. Notice a couple things here. What's your armor class? 7. That's not as good as braces of armor class plus 8, but it freed up your bracer slot. What could you put in that bracer slot? Well, let's look, class. How about, let's go by type. How about we grab ourselves bracers of archery? See the bonus to your swing, plus 2. A bonus to your damage, plus 1. You can see the appeal here. Again, I could give these to Ekendayo and he would appreciate that better. True, but that's when you would give him these ones. Braces of Ruby Phoenix. Notice the same numbers. However, keep reading. If you're using a longbow, which she can't use, unless you gave her the skill, which you didn't, she, or anyone that's wielding a longbow gets another plus 1 to their swing and another plus 1 to the damage. This is the one you give to Ekendayo. Give her, then, the braces of archery. See what I just did there? Give her a bonus to her swing. Only with her bow, but it's appreciated, is my point. Don't like that? Maybe you want to give her something like Blazers of Deflection. Why? Plus 2, plus 2, plus 2 armor, especially early on, is helpful, but look further. It allows her to cast a shield spell twice a day as a 5th level wizard. That's a 5-minute buff plus 4 armor class. Remember, it's an abjuration spell. A spell that would take her 2 slots to cast at once, and yes, it would last for 19 minutes, but are you really going to be sprinting from fight to fight to fight? Yeah, maybe you are, but unlikely. So having 2 5-minute buffs will cover a lot of time in a dungeon. Just saying, that's a solid upgrade for her. Don't like that one? Okay, how about you want to give her some temp HP twice a day? Charon's Touch. Greater False Life twice a day. And Harm Spell once a day. Now, yeah, it's a melee touch attack, but it's weapon finessable. She has weapon finesse and she has a high dexterity. She'll walk over, touch that fighter on the shoulder and do 150 points of fucking damage. Sounds good to me. Just saying, there's plenty of things to like about it. And I think you can even sneak attack that shit because it's a touch attack. But again, the point is, there's other options besides the typical, braces of armor class plus 8, which is what everybody does. So don't be like everybody. Experiment is my advice to you. Just to show you some other stuff, we'll talk about the robes last. I want to show you some of these other armors. So again, the things you're looking for is what's your armor class total. So the 7, you see it at the top there. Notice also your max dexterity. She has a 3 right now. We can get that up well above a 6, I'd say, or at least to a 6, pretty easy. Again, that's a solid upgrade for her. She would not get all that 6 because of this armor. It only has a max dexterity of 5. So add the 7 and the 5, that's a 12. Keep that number in your head when you're comparing it to the next armor. Look for any spell-like abilities or any special abilities. You see this one, for example, resistance to cold. She is susceptible to cold if she turns into the fiery body, I think. So again, that sucks, but this would be resistance. That would protect her some more. And she can cast Cone of Cold twice a day from this armor. She doesn't even have to slot it. And it's a 9th level wizard spell, so it means it's 96 of damage in a cone twice. Boom. That's money. Don't like that? Okay, how about you get the Assassin's Chain Shirt? What does that thing do? 8 armor base, plus 4 for dexterity, which we can definitely get, so it's still a 12. Nothing fancy there. Notice it's an adamantine chain shirt, so that's DR1/dash. That means physical damage, so bludgeoning, piercing, slashing is lessened by 1. Period. It's not amazing, but it does help, especially for a squishy ass tune. It may save your ass. Not impressed by that? Keep reading. Plus 4 bonus on your critical confirmation rolls. So for the way crits work in this game is you hit a target first. If it would have crits, like a nat 20, let's say, definitely you're going to hit them. Then it rolls again to see if you would have hit him again. If you hit him the second time, then that's called a crit. That's called confirming the crit. In this case, on that second roll and only the second roll, you would get a +4. That's what the bonus to confirming your critical rolls means. So it's a better chance that you will crit them then. So this could be useful for someone that wants to crit fish. Not necessarily her cup of tea. I'd give this to, say, Ragongar, quite frankly, early on. But it's a viable option. That works with bows, that works with ray spells. Anything that could crit, she will get a bonus to her chance to crit. Don't like that. Let's get you Burn Protector. This one is a fire resistance, +2, so it's a lame armor. So it's 4, max dexterity 6, which you could probably get, so that's a 10. That's a way worse. But notice you have other stuff on it. Cast Remove Disease once a day as a 5th level cleric. Not impressive. Fine. How about we grab Chainbreaker's Chainmail? This is one of the first ones I wanted to talk to you about. See how it says Chainmail, but it's actually a chain shirt. This one is something you could equip with light armor. As such, it's 7 plus max dexterity 6. That's not bad. We're up to a 13 now. That's better than what we've seen before. And a bonus to trickery. What does she do? She's a trickery person. And a bonus to saving throws and reflex saves. Now, yes, it's a resistance bonus. If you don't have resistance bonus yet, this is a boon. And you can cast Freedom of Movement once a day as a 7th level cleric, something she couldn't do. That makes you immune to paralysis. You could see the appeal here, is my point. And you wouldn't be able to wear these things if it weren't for that fact that these things have arcane spell failure. Remember, we have training that makes that go away, up to 20%. This one's 10%. If this was your ultimate goal, you wouldn't need both those feats that I gave you. You'd only need the first one. That's my other point. So keep an eye for the arcane spell failure number. Not happy with that one. We have a Chain Shirt of Life, solid chain shirt, +7 armor, 7 armor class, +4 max dexterity, so only 11. But a bonus to saving throws against spells with the death descriptor. That sounds like something I'd want. Don't like that one. How about we grab the Ghost Leather? This one is one you definitely want. Not necessarily your go-to all the time, but 5 armor class, +6 for max dexterity, 11. Arcane spell failure 10, which means you could save on one of those feats, right? And look at this, what the armor does. If you get hit, you get greater invisibility for 2 rounds, free of charge, anytime an enemy successfully hits you. So that's 2 rounds now that you have 50% chance for them to miss you now. And you can set up sneak attack and all kinds of other cool shit. Normally I give this to my rogue main character, what's his name? Knock Knock. But this is crappy armor for him. For you, it's still crappy armor. But you got ways to buff you besides that Knock Knock does not have. If you can stomach having just this armor, have a high enough dexterity to capitalize on that max dexterity of 6, then this is still a solid choice for someone like you that wants to do sneak attack damage. You can see the appeal here. And again, Arcane Spell Failure 10, you only need one of those 2 feats, but you needed one of those feats, otherwise your spells could fail. Not impressed with that. Let me show you the best one. I'm going to skip around here. Where's your best little bastard? No. Oh, that's a robe. Light Absorber. There it is. Male of the Clear Skies. Notice how it's medium armor. She has no training, brother, in medium armor. How the hell is she putting this on? Read further. Not only is it 11 armor, +5 max dex. That's a 16 armor now we're talking about. And again, your base is always 10, so 16 plus 10. That's a 26 armor class. You would have that with the best dexterity that we're talking about here. Then, keep reading. Armor check penalty of -1. And Arcane Spell Failure 15. That fits. You need both those feats to cover that. No problem there. But notice that last part. It is considered light armor. This is better than Braces of Armor class +8. Period. Now, yeah, it took your robe slot away, but it gave you this one back. So again, if you wanted those Bracers of Archery, there you go, or whatever other ones you want in there. And then again, there's a variety of other stuff that you could have picked. But my point is the same. I like having the options. And again, if you want to go robe, you can still do that. Get the Bracers of Armor class +8 out. Bust some little fuckers on you once you find them, and then start wearing robes, like the Leviathan's Gift. All this one does, you can activate it like a magic rod, where any spell you cast level 6 on down is maximized. Period. Why would this matter? Why not just get the rods? Well, fun story. You can have multiple metamagic rods in your belt. They go here in your slots here. You can't have more than one active at a time. But you can have one active and this active at the same time because it's not a rod. Which one would you have active? How about one that empowers it for 50% extra damage? So think about what I've just told you here. Let's take a level 6 spell like Chain Lightning. 120 points of damage if you maximize that fucker, right? That's impressive. It's AoE. And you can do sneak attack thanks to your surprise spells. That's 12d6 potential of extra damage we could throw on top of that fucking 120 points of damage. And that's just if it's maximized. Wait, if you have the Meta Magic Rod that empowers it, that 120 damage base, maximum damage, when this is on, turns into 180. And then you still do sneak attack damage on top of that fucking shit. Tell me that ain't impressive for some serious sneak attack damage, just AoE style. Teammate friendly, awesome combo. Don't like that? We can give you robes like Robe of Transmutation. Looks cool, kind of almost looks like her robes. No armor, but a bonus to the DC check of all your transmutation spells. So you already had spell focus and greater spell focus transmutation, that's a +2. Now you're at a +4. Now that's not too impressive. But think about some of the transmutation spells we're talking about. Slow, you want that shit to hit, right? Okay, that's one. Don't like that. How about Baleful Polymorph, where you turn the wizard into a fucking dog and completely take him out of the fight? Okay, that's one there. That's pretty decent. We got Obsidian Flow. We got Tar Pool. We got Disintegrate. I know you want that 40d6 of damage plus sneak attack damage to land. Just saying. +4 to the DC check on that. That Fortitude save is getting harder and harder. You can see the appeal. And it gives you a bonus to your saves against evocation schools. Remember, she's squishy. Those could be like fireball spells, lightning bolt spells coming your way. And again, if you make the reflex save, you take half damage. It may not save her, but it has a better chance of saving her, and you can see the appeal. Don't want that one? Here's the one that you really want. The Ambrosial Attire of Arcane Annihilation. Read this little bastard. No armor bonus, so you still need your bracers, but +4 to your attacks with ray spells. All of them. Boom. It's not included in here right now. And again, you would rapid shut off, so you should be at a 12 for your swing for a ray spell right now. And of course, we can make that higher with higher dexterity. But the point is, you'd be at least at a 12. +4 more. If it's within point blank range, it'd be a +1 more, so we'd be up another 5. So 12, 4, 16, 17 would be your swing on a ray spell. And remember, that's a touch attack. That ignores their armor, that ignores their shield. It is this category, the touch armor. And again, there's plenty of Dexters out there, so they may have a high touch, but we have ways of making that go down. Hit them with a slow spell, trap them in a web spell. That fucks up their dexterity, and that makes it easier for your ray spells to hit. You can see the appeal here. Keep reading, though. Not only does it give you a bonus to your ray attacks, it adds extra damage to all your spell damage types for fire, electric, cold, acid, and force damage. That's trippy weird. How much damage? 1 extra point per die. What does that mean? Take a 10d6 fireball spell. That's 10 dice. 10. With this robe on, it would be 10d6 plus 10. So then a minimum, if you rolled all ones for some lame ass reason, a fireball spell would do 10 damage, AoE style. With this robe on, it would do 20. Minimum. Maximum, remember we have the ability to maximize shit with rods, for example. You could turn that into 70. You would power that. 70 now jumps up to another 35 more. That's 105 damage from a level 3 fireball spell. Or chain, or lightning bolt for that matter. But the point's still the same. Solid damage. And again, not just fire. Acid, electric, cold. Think of your chain lightning. That's 20d6 of damage. That's 20 dice. Because of this robe, it's 20d6 plus 20. So again, maximum could have been 120 plus 20 more, 140 empowered. 140, 270, 210. Plus your sneak attack damage. Again, from nothing more than this robe. It gets better. There's a necklace that does the same thing, but only for fire, cold, electric, and acid. But it stacks with this. There's even hats that give you like a bonus to cold. So there's a +1 from cold, +1 from cold, +1 from cold. If you want to be a cold casting wizard, those 3 items, the necklace, this robe, and that hat called Frozen Shout, make you a monster. Think about what I just told you. A snowball spell. Level 1 spell. 5d6 of damage, right? That's 5 dice. 1, 2, 3 times 3. So 5 times 3. That's 5d6 plus 15. Minimum then is 20. Maximum of 45 from a level 1 spell that, it's not guaranteed to hit, but it's easy to hit because it's a ray spell. And you have a bonus to your ray spells thanks to this thing. And it has no spell resistance, so unless they're immune or resistant to cold, it's gonna do the damage. And then we have yet to throw on the 12d6 of sneak attack damage on top of that shit. This character's fine now. The real hole is, again, her HP, the armor. Again, keep them off her. Get stuff that buffs her as soon as you can. Again, I still maintain that having the ability to wear studded leather, chain shirts, and again, that one particular chain mail, where did that little bastard go? Mail of the Clear Skies, is totally worth looking into. but it requires those 2 feats, at least one of those 2 feats. But again, once you realize which one we're talking about that you're shooting for, guess this one here is Arcane Spell Failure 20. You would need both those feats. Here's one that Arcane Spell Failure 15. You'd probably still want both those feats because a 5% failure is a 1 in 20 chance. And do you really want to risk, last fight, here it is, Chain Lightning will finish the fight, we're down in health, everyone's going to die if this doesn't land. Arcane Spell Failure, son of a bitch! You see the problem. So again, you don't want Arcane Spell Failure, but again, we have ways to get it around it, and that's my point to you. Up to you on that stuff. There's a dozen ways to trick out this character. I'm not going to give her all the gear that you could give her. I could, but there's no reason to. What am I going to do? I'm going to show you a couple of tricks. Let's actually go somewhere. Well, first I want to free the slaves. I feel bad leaving them here. Move some bodies. Get some stuff.
In due time.
I want to show you a fight or two where we literally can show you what she's capable of by herself. Now, yeah, she's still squishy, so even though she's level 20, these guys are level like 3, she could still die in some of these fights, so we got to be a little careful here. But, and I should also give her some spells. How about that? On that, I forgot to mention the meta magic. Remember to, every time that you get a new meta magic, go through your spell book, and every time you get a new spell, go through your spell book again for the new spell and see if you can meta magic the little bastard up. I'm not going to do all of them, but like I said, I'll happily do like Snowball, make it shoot farther. You'd be surprised how many of your reach spells can be, or your range spells can be reached. So your ray spells are usually like close range or medium range. There's like one, like Acid Arrow is like long. Yeah, so you can't reach it. Scorching Ray you can. And again, that's another casting of that spell, but at a higher level, level 3. See that? Still have Battering Blast, you probably want it, but you also want to reach it as well. I will reach, I didn't grab, well, I did grab Shocking Grasp. Awesome. Oh, I must have scribed it. So now I can shoot Shocking Grasp at level 2. That's 5d6 of electric damage I can go pew with him with. I could also reach, I'm just looking for stuff that's like ray spells type stuff. Disintegrate, sounds good to me. That's a baller spell anyway. When I have 2 different castings of at level 6 and level 7 Hellfire Ray, I'll reach that one too. Why not? Solid choice, solid choice. Elemental Assessor. Sounds good. That's the weird one. That's for those of you that don't know what that spell does. Elemental Assessor does 2d6 of damage for their 4 elemental types: your acid, your electric, your cold, your fire. Whichever of those 4 does the most damage, it will continue to tick for 1 to 4 more rounds, doing 4d6 of damage of that elemental type. So let's say they're susceptible to acid. You hit them with this. They do cold damage, fire damage, and electric damage is lame. Acid damage is major. Then for 1 to 4 more rounds later, it goes tick, 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 maybe up to 4 times, a 46 of acid damage. Bam, 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 bam. This really screws them over. And while you can sneak attack the first spike of damage, it's not each of the 2d6s. There's only one of those to get the sneak attack damage. So again, another 12d6 we can add to the initial spike. It's just, again, like the name implies, it allows you to find out, hey, what elemental damage is more likely to hurt this son of a bitch. So when you hit him with it, you see the initial spike of damage, and you say, oh, fire, huh? Okay. And then you start using like Hellfire Ray, or if it's, shocking electric that's susceptible, you hit him with like Shocking Grasp. You get the idea. That's the whole point of that. Still does solid damage though by itself, and it is pretty funny. Other than that, Polar Ray, sure, why not? And that's a level 9 beam now. That's awesome. And again, why not have it shoot farther? Medium range now, long range, that thing is fucking huge. And again, I don't have to do everything, but you will. And again, we go through your book, put in your 1 transmutation spell. Again, you can get it multiple times. Don't kid yourself. If it's that awesome, grab it. But definitely want 1 here. I'm going to grab Reduced Person. Bonus to Dexterity, bonus to your armor because you're teeny tiny, bonus to your swing because you're hitting big targets, bonus to your swing because of better dexterity, bonus to your armor because of better dexterity. There's a lot of buffs here. And the only minus is it lowers your strength too. From there, I'll grab Mage Armor if I didn't have the bracers. I'd grab Snowballs because, again, obvious. I would give myself maybe Magic Missile because that comes in handy. Maybe you want a Grease Spell. Maybe you want your Piercing Scream to auto-hit some shit sometimes. You never know. Level 2, Web Spell, a bunch of Scorching Rays. I'll take an Acid Arrow. I'll take a Sense Vitals, your image, oops, and a Blur. Or maybe I'll get rid of Acid Arrow and throw in a Snowball that reaches farther. I'll grab a haste spell. I'll grab a Battering Blast, give me some Heroism, give me a better Scorching Ray, and give me a slow spell. City of Flow, Greater Invis, all day, every day. 2 teleportation spells to jump in and out of areas or jump out of battle. When bad guys are rushing your ass, teleport to the other side of the battlefield. Make them run through your team again. Viable tactics. But better Battering Blast, or Overwhelming Grief, single target, set them up for sneak attack. Or, and I know I didn't mention it, but Animate Dead, I grabbed it. It's 1 to grab 2. Seems stupid, but A, quick casting, and B, what are the ways to set up sneak attack class? Okay, so we have, you're invisible. We have a variety of ways to do that. Here's greater invisibility. We could make them flat-footed by lowering their dexterity with a variety of spells. This is an example of one that does that. We could make them paralyzed. We have a variety of spells that do that. We could jump them, so surprise them in combat. So we get a surprise round. That's flat-footed by default. That's awesome. We could flank them with teammates or pets. That's why Animate Dead or any other summons is still useful to you. She probably should have taken a summons because she can cast those better. It only takes 1 slot for them. But this one's a fast casting. See, the standard action versus the other guys, the summon monster spells are all a full round of whoopa jibba jibba before they finally show up. You can still do it. It's just this one, if you're in a bind, Animate Dead at your feet and run the fuck out of there. Let the skeletons take the beating. So that's my usual go-to. But again, I can still maintain that that's a solid choice. Polymorph, sure. Let's grab another one, because why the hell not? We'll get Shadow Evocation twice, because they're awesome. Get that, and a Paralysis spell. Disintegrate. Sorry, that's kidding. We'll do a few of those. We'll grab Transformation, though. That's your last-ditch effort spell. Let's get a Hellfire Ray and Element Assessor. Let's grab Rare Heroism and Tire Pull. Damn it, I wanted those Disintegrates. Oh. Firebrand. Resonating Word. Better Disintegrate. Sounds good to me. Caustic Eruption. Better Hellfire Ray. Bell Element Assessor. We got Greater Angelic Aspect, excuse me. Polar Ray. Sea Mantle and Greater Shadow Evocation. Fiery Body. Foresight. And a better Polar Ray a couple of more times. Awesome. Okay, now let's force rest her. I have to do this just so that she has her spells back so I can show you this stuff. Boop, she's rested. And everybody's healed. Yay, everybody's happy. Okay. Alright. Time to grab that stuff and leave. Alright. I know this video's taking a while, guys, but it's hard to explain these videos without putting some kind of analysis into various picks. Whether we're talking about the spell picks or the feat picks. Armor, gear in general. We could go on for hours and hours about the way to best build this character. There is no right way, so don't feel bad about that. But there's definite wrong ways. So I'm going to go over here and fuck with these boggarts because there's more than a few in that area. I'm not ruining anything for you because it says it in the goddamn name. Or we'll just take on this random encounter. That sounds good too. I'll give you, for instance, when we get to the boggarts and how you would buff up and then talk about the various togs and stuff. But I can probably show you one of her toggles up here right now. Where the hell are they? Where are you little goblin bastards? Oh! I see ya. Pansy ass sons of bitches. Let's rage. Against the might. Oh. Take that, bastard. Okay, her turn. Now remember, we got to jump on these guys. I know that they jumped us, but we jumped them at the same time. So technically he hasn't acted yet. That's flat-footed. So all I have to do is hit this son of a bitch with, say, a race spell, and it could be a cantrip, and it should get sneak attack level. Let's prove that to ourselves. So let's move to here. And that should be more than enough range to get off a acid splash. Sneak attack. And again, that's stuff that you can do all day, every day. Acid Splash, Ray of Frost, Jolt, and if it's undead, Disrupt Undead. Those are all race spells for her to do damage. And again, 76 plus 7. Oh, the robe. Derp. Yeah, she has the robe on, remember? Extra point of damage per die for acid, fire, cold, force, or electric. So the 76 sneak attack damage, that's 7 die of acid damage, so the robe thinks, oh, let's add another 7 points to that. I'll take it. And again, that could be 12d6 plus 12 if we buffed with Sense Vitals. Just saying. So again, a solid up. Bounce out of here. onto the boggart level. Yeah, sure, we'll take that stuff. But again, the character, like I said, if you build them right, they are beefy, they are tough. They're not amazingly tough. They're not ever going to be a straight up fighter. There is a trick you can do, and I'll show that to you probably if I remember at the end of fighting the boggarts. But I wanted to show you some sneak attack love, some buffs, and of course the 2 toggles that she gets for being an Arcane Trickster, so you can see how those used. First off, let's just separate her from the pack, because she's going to do this shit solo. First off, spell-wise, what do we have? Normally I put them in the place, but we can just go this way. Actually, I can't. Sorry, my OCD. It's killing me, guys. It really is. Plus, I need to show you some of her Transmuter Abilities, which are under here. One, if you're never going to melee fight, don't bother with charge or coup de grace. You need a melee weapon to do that shit. Telekinetic Fist is a ray spell-like ability she gets for being a Transmuter Specialist. That's about the only thing about being a Transmuter that's worth a damn for the lame levels that we got in Transmutation. Because remember, you're only a 9th level Wizard, and therefore a 9th level Transmuter. This is nice, because again, those can sneak attack, and that's now 10 uses a day of sneak attack damage or bludgeoning damage. That's not bad. We have fighting defensively. I put that over here. We never use mobility. But you also get, you'll notice, a buff to any of your 3 physical stats, strength, dex, or con, for being a transmuter. You start with a +1, which she had at level 1, or level 1 wizard, I should say. She gets a +1 there. So again, I put it in dexterity. It goes up every 5 wizard levels, so at level 5, level 10, level 15, and 20, to another +1. So at the end, if you were a purist and went 20 level of wizard transmuter, by the end you would have a +5 to any of these 3 abilities. Matter of fact, at level 20, they would let you do it to 2 of the 3 abilities. But it's only a +5. I know that sounds bad. Right now, it's only a +2 for us, and it's an enhancement. That means Cat's Grace, Bull Strength, Bear's Endurance, a belt +4 or better already beats this out. So yeah, it's useful, but it rapidly gets to the point where you forget that you even have it. Then, she also has the ability to turn into various shapes. Change shape leopard, and then one of the 4 elementals, small versions of them. They get better and stronger if she has more wizard levels, which she does not. So again, these are garbage. The only real reason to even mention these, I'll just put 1 down here. The only reason to mention these is, for example, the air elemental, or any of the elementals, have resistance to a specific type of damage. In this case, 20 resistance to electric, or acid, or cold, or fire, depending on which one you grab. They are also susceptible to damage from something else. So acid is susceptible to electric and vice versa. Fire is susceptible to cold and vice versa. So know that. Don't run into battle thinking, I'm protected from fire, and then watch cold spells beam you in the face and do like double damage or some shit. And you're like, what the fuck just happened? Yeah, you were sensitive. You were vulnerable to acid, vulnerable to cold, vulnerable to whatever. The toggles for her, those guys there, range, Legger Domain, and have rapid shot. And of course you put deadly shot if you grabbed it over here as well. Why? So when you do your ray spells, you can shut that shit off, and that's what we're really going to do right now. We're not going to do bow attacks. This is your impromptu sneak attack. Here is your invisible thief toggle. Both of these are toggles. I can, in combat, turn this on, shut it off, turn it on, shut it off, and just like constantly click, 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 and this will go away in the first round by being stupid. So what I'm telling you is don't basically activate it and say, oh, I don't want that, shut it off, because you just burnt up a use. You might as well just leave it on and fucking do something. Remember, even if they can't be sneak attacked, they're still flat-footed. That's all this does, is make them flat-footed. But because flat-footed implies that you can sneak attack them, if they can be sneak attacked, this sets that up. Same with this. They're not necessarily flat-footed, but you can't see your attack coming, so you're invisible. Just like greater invisibility, that's what this is. But it's just in toggle form. I can use it for a full 10 rounds, I can use it for 1 round and shut it the fuck off once I'm done using it. So don't burn it up is my advice to you. But by and large, that's what these things are doing for you, setting up your sneak attack love. Then, I'm just going to put some of those ray spells that are infinite use down here. Hey, look at that, that's perfect. All 4 of your ray spells that are infinite use ray spells are right there. Okay? And then we'll do spells as we need. Know that she can stealth. Right? Here she has, just to recap on her abilities, a solid trickery, solid perception, solid stealth. And again, if I cast Vanish, invisibility, or greater invisibility on her, this goes up another 20. That's a solid thing. And this does exist in this game where you can stealth through bad guys. They can see you if they perceive you, but again, your stealth subtracts from that. So the better your stealth, the more likely you are to sneak up on him. Hell, if you have a really good stealth, I can damn near step on this dude's head before he notices I'm there. But before we get crazy on this, you want to buff up. So here's Sense Vitals. That's a solid buff for your character. Let's give you Reduce Person. Makes it easier for you to hit and harder for them to hit you. Thank God casting spells doesn't alert them to your presence because the noise should. But now you're tiny. Notice the dexterity buff. Yes, it's a buff to dexterity because it's a size buff, not an enhancement as size, which means it stacks with enhancements, which stacks with polymorph, anything else, different categories. And yeah, less strength. Boy, that sucks. But we have a massive bonus to, well, a +2 bonus to your armor. Why? Because dex went up, and so did your size category went down, so it's harder for them to hit you. See the size +1 there? It's a solid buff to your character, especially early levels, to not being hit. Yeah, you're super weak strength-wise. You're also super weak con-wise, so don't kid yourself. But that's a solid buff. Bonus to your reflexes as well for a dex bonus. Bonus to your swing twice. Once for the dex bonus because you have weapon finesse, so it doesn't matter if it's melee or range. And you have a bonus because of your size. Again, it's easier to hit those big fat head bastards. So you can see the appeal of this spell. That's one spell, level 1 spell, no less. Let's grab Blur. Mirror image. And I wanted to show you this little trick. See this? The arrow above, that is your arcane bond. That's for any spell. Only once a day, that's why he sees a 1 there. Once a day, you can get any spell back. And let's talk about that super quick. Let's take the spell that we just used, Blur. Say, oh no, I'm fighting a guy where I needed electric damage. You can delete a spell that you've already used, put in a new one on the fly like this, even in combat. And now if you go back to here, you'll see what? Oh look, I can get Shocking Grasp at range by clicking that. That's my trick for you, okay? So again, Arcane Bond, power. Like no one's business, that's power. It's only one spell, I know. But what spell is it? Is it the last spell that saves you and your team from fucking dying? Then it's a pretty good buff. You see what I'm saying? So just know that you have that option. And some people will just use it generically for like a buff, like another shield spell or whatever. And on that we could have, for example, say we used up 2 of these snowball spells. I could have put a shield spell in this 2 slots and then summoned it back. Yeah, it's 2 slots. It doesn't matter. It's 1 spell. So if you want a shield spell Johnny on the spot, we could have done that. Or a necromancy spell even, for depending on which one we're talking about. But the point's still the same. It summons 1 spell and 1 spell only. It doesn't matter if it costs more to get the spell. If it's 2 slots or 1 slot, it will still allow you to get it back. Now that buff is decent. Let's throw on a couple other really good ones, just to make sure she's tough. Sea Mantle's an amazing buff. Get the greater angelic aspect. She'll have fake wings, by the way. Those don't do a goddamn thing, but they do make you look angelic. That's good enough, I'd say, to go do what we want to do. Now, do a quick save so we can do this repeatedly. Let's say we are sneaky, and we're going to sneak into an area, and we're going to see a bad guy all by himself lonesome. Do we use a ray spell? Do we use something like Obsidian Flow, AoE, big-ass goddamn monster spell? Again, he's surprised. We have surprise spells. This will do sneak attack damage, remember? But it's only 1 dude. If I knew where the other guys were, if I could hit like 2 or 3 dudes with this, that would be different. That's how you would start the fight. Since it's 1 doofus, just cantrip his ass.
I'm not afraid.
Dunked him. And again, there's other guys in the area. That's why it's going to go through the whole check system here. But, thanks to turn-based combat, which you should definitely be playing on, in my opinion, even though it takes forever, turn-based combat allows you to surprise them in most situations. So you literally get the ability... Where the hell are these little bastards? Come on. Oh, there they are. I'll say, where the hell is it? Ah! They're pissed off. Now, they can see me. Remember, I don't have invisible on. I have blur on. That's not the same thing. So, let's get back to my character. Here comes the other doofus. Hippity hoppity. Come on. Got places to go, damn it. Alright. Now, Lindsay, and go ahead and give us a song. Valerie, hold your fist. Octavia, I am now in melee range. If I cast a spell, these bastards are going to get a sneak attack or a attack of opportunity on me. Which, again, for a squishy character like this, even with 93 health, these fuckers could kill me. So, what do? Well, one, you 5-foot stutter step away, or you make yourself invisible. Remember that toggle? You are now greater invis. And if you don't believe me, go over here, look at this. Greater invis, permanent. It's not permanent. It's only permanent while the toggle's running. But it's just like greater invis. What does that mean? They can't see me casting spells, so I should be able to attack them with a spell right now, and it doesn't matter. I will not get an attack of opportunity on me. So as long as they can't see invis, I should be able to hit them with a cantrip or whatever else. I want to hit them with an AoE spell, because I want to do sneak attack damage, let's say. So let's hit them with something that does AoE damage. Like that Obsidian Flow. Sneak attack damage. Pause it. See the sneak attack damage on that shit? 9d6 plus 9, remember our robe. Plus 9 for the fire damage extra. 9 die. 12 dice over here for sneak attack. Another 12 points of fire damage here for the sneak attack. And again, we did more damage with the sneak attack than we did with the fucking spell. And that's awesome. That's an amazing upgrade. And I hadn't maximized it. I hadn't empowered it. Hadn't done anything fancy to it other than just wear that robe and cast that spell. And again, if you put the necklace on, the necklace would have given you another +1 per die. I could have added another 12 and another 9 damage to each of those bastards. That would have been another 21 damage going out for that one spell, level 4 spell. Look at the DC check on it. The saving throw for that spell. The DC check is high because we're Transmuter. Remember, we have Spell Focus and Greater Spell Focus and Transmutation. If you had any gear that busts Transmutation spells, there's only like 1. Then you could have had this up to a solid 25. Again, if you want it to land, that's what it does. If they made that save, by the way, it's a reflex save, just like a Fireball spell. If they made the save, it's half damage. So not really good against the rogue types, because if they make their check, no damage, and that sucks. But they're at least in difficult terrain at that point. And that may be enough to slow them down to keep you alive. Now, let's go back to our earlier save. That's why I saved after buffing up, so we could do this again. Other things to do, okay? Let's not be invisible, but let's... No. Stop moving. I forgot to just select that.
You can count on me.
Get over here. She's stealthing. But again, eventually these guys are going to fucking see her. Right? Because I don't have invisible on, didn't turn my toggle on. Look how good my stealth is. Remember, that's without invisible on. You put invisible on, it's up another 20. Or vanish or greater invis. But the point's still the same. It's a solid way for you to sneak in to battle, find where they're at, get yourself in a position, cast a spell and damage them, because of turn-based combat, you got the surprise jump on them. Your whole team gets the surprise round. You see the appeal? That's a solid upgrade. Now I want to show you something. So first off, we'll need to kill this guy. So let's do the invisible toggle, telekinetic punch to the face. Dunk him. Notice now that I'm done with my combat round, I'll shut this off to save it. But notice that the moment you shut it off, you're back to being visible again. So if these guys want to come and kick my ass, I just did something stupid. But I want to do something stupid. See if I can get away from these doofuses and have them go towards her. I want to show you the other toggle, the impromptu sneak attack. Come on, Shrek, move your ass. Thank you. Yeah, they come. Let me get her. And for those of you that don't know why I actually moved away from them with her, even if it was only a 5-foot stutter step, it was so that they would have to use more movement to get to me. Remember, you can move just like them. Move and then attack, you only get one attack. But if you have to move and then move a little bit more to get within range of her, they would not be able to attack. That's what happened there. See the green versus the yellow? That's a double move. That means he would not have been able to attack because he double moved. Same with the mirror. You see the green versus the yellow? You go all the way out to the green and you're fine. And she'd still be able to take a swing at anyone within range. But the moment you go into the yellow, now you don't get an attack at all. Now, again, we're not invisible. They're not flat-footed. In fact, they're flanking me. So this is a problem. But I have protections, and I'm not too worried about them killing me. But I do want to sneak attack them fuckers. So here's impromptu sneak attack, which will catch them flat-footed, guaranteed. Now I can do a single target ray spell. I can do an AoE spell again, because again your surprise spells ability. Let's see what we have. That might be fun. Like, by the way, and I should point this out too. Remember your surprise spells? It says does damage. It didn't say anything about it. It had to be a to-hit check. Remember, Fireball's not a to-hit check. So Magic Missile, which is auto-hit. Sneak attack, only on one of them. But still 12d6 of force damage. Fuck you. and notice it didn't, for whatever reason, it didn't give me the 12 damage extra. It's kind of lame. Probably because it was the second beam that did it. But again, it should have been 12d6 plus 12 because of the robes I have on. But whatever, I don't care. That was a solid screw to that one bad guy is my point. Again, a spell that you would never even think of using offensively once you get past, say, level 10. You're like, oh yeah, I have a magic missile in my back pocket just because every once in a while some jackass will come along and be a straight up dick. And be immune to everything except for magic missile. But you're never going to use it realistically. But now think about those guys that are immune to everything except for magic missile. And throw some sneak attack pepper on that shit. You see what I'm saying? It's a solid upgrade. Now notice I'm going to shut this off so I don't waste it on the next round. And then I'm going to, because I attacked, it'll make me do a 5-foot stutter step. See how it already locked it in? 5-foot stutter steps allow you to disengage where they're not swinging at you. Okay, now he's going to jump me now. So he'll move and then attack, but I'll be able to survive it. I'm hopeful. I shouldn't say that. You never know when he's going to double crit your ass. Missed. You're a loser. Okay. I'll see if there's anything else I can show. I know this video is long, guys, but I want to show you like maybe one or two more things. What do we have? Alright, so I've showed you the togs. And again, we could switch these on the fly too, but remember, once you have belts or whatever that buff your strength, your dex, your con, that's inconsequential. I want to take him out, and then I want to show you another couple pieces of gear that might be of interest to you. So, let's hit him with... Ring, yeah. I suppose I can show you the Elemental Assessor. That's a fun one. So let's do that. So I want to do a 5-foot stutter step. Why? Because if I attack him with a spell right now without being invisible, he will poke at me, right? And it could disrupt my spell. So if I 5-foot stutter step out of his reach, hopefully I'm out of his reach, no guarantee on that. But let's say that I am, and then I do the Elemental Assessor ray. Boom in your face. Notice I didn't get any sneak attack for that because I didn't have anything on to do that. But look what it did. 2d6 plus 3 of cold. 2d6 plus 3 of fire. Why is it plus 3? Plus 1 for point blank shot. The plus 2 more from the robe that I'm wearing. Remember? Because it's cold, fire, acid, and electric damage. Now look at how the 15 was fire. The other ones were below it. 9 acid and 9 electric and 7 cold. Now, I don't know that he's resistant to any of them. It didn't say that he was resistant to any of them. But what would have happened if he had survived that spike? For the next 1 to 4 rounds, it would have been 4d6 at least fire damage. Tick, tick, tick. Once, maybe twice, maybe 3 or 4 times. The reason that that's important is it's a die roll. Remember, if you maximize something, any die roll is now maximized. So the 2d6 becomes 12. The 1 to 4 rounds of tick, tick, tick is guaranteed to be 4. And remember, if you empower something, those die rolls get a 50% boost. So if you maximize empower, say that spell, instead of doing 12 fire, 12 cold, 12 acid, 12 electric, that would be maximum. It would be 6 more for each of those. So it would be 18s instead of 12s because you would maximize and empowered it. Then, because one of them is probably going to just be the first one that hits, let's say it's cold again. Say the cold hits first for 18, the game would assume that that's the best damage. So it would do 6, because 1d4 and 50% more. So 4 maximum, 6 more, or 2 more because of the empower. So 6 rounds of tick, tick, tick at 4d6, which would be 24 maximum. And then empower that, so 36 the damage of, let's say, cold for 6 rounds. Bam, 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 bam. 6 fucking times every round. 36, 36, 36. Tell me that shit ain't impressive. I'm just saying. And I didn't even sneak attack that shit. We could have, but we didn't. So again, solid raycaster, solid spellcaster, solid buffs, terrible armor, terrible health. Those are your weak spots. Go back to gear. I want you to show you a couple items that you probably want to get. Again, remember, I love options. So, in this case, we're grabbing a piece of headwear and we're getting a shoulder item. Go to the headwear and shoulder item and type in undead. And you'll find your Cloak of Soul Souls, and you'll find your Dead Man's Hat. These are in the game. I'm not going to tell you how to get them. One of them I will tell you, I'll tell you specifically, the cloak is piecemeal together. You literally, if you right click it and go info, you see this laundry list of shit, that backstory. That's because this was an item where you found all the scraps and you had someone in your kingdom reassemble the scraps. They make you the Cloak of Soul Souls. This is something you can craft, so to speak, or someone crafts it for you. But notice this thing, penalty to con. Why would you ever want to give her a penalty to con? Keep reading. Bonus to her necromancy spells, to the caster level. Remember, you're level 19 right now, so they'd be level 21 for intents and purposes of this game. And your summoning spells, again, would be level 21 for duration, more likely than not. Notice also you get a +2 to your DC to necromancy school. You're not a necromancer, but remember, you could use necromancy spells. So this is a solid +2 to those spells. You also, and this is the real selling point, get Vampire Touch 3 times a goddamn day, equal to your caster level, equal to your character level. So she's level 20 character, so she would get a 10d6 Vampire Touch spell 3 times a day that she can touch them on the goddamn shoulder. That's a temp 60 hit points at best case scenario. Well, actually double that if she crits. So 120, but let's just say 60. That's a nice jump for her health. See what I'm saying? 3 times a goddamn day. But again, penalty to her con. Well, if you don't want the penalty to con, look at this. Dead Man's Hat. Bonus to your necromancy spells. Again, another +2 DC. And again, she doesn't do necromancy. I know. But keep reading. It turns her into an undead. Watch the con go to nothing and health go up. Why is the health go up? Because now your health is based on your charisma modifier. So this +2 is per level. So she's got an extra 40 health points, hit points right there from this +2 from charisma. And we can bump her charisma more. Just to give you a for instance, there is a neck item in the game. I think it's called Della Fiorni. Yeah, I would have spelled it wrong, so it's glad that I typed it in that way. This is a quest item for her that eventually you will get if you complete her quest successfully. She's the only person that can wear this. Notice how it's at +6 to intelligence. She likes that. +6 to charisma. She don't care. But notice how it way your health go up and your fortitude go up. It's because you're an undead creature and it's basing it off of your charisma instead of your con, because you have no con. So this is awesome for her. This is a way to make her tough as shit. We just more than double her HP by these 2 pieces of gear. I'm sorry, yeah, these 2 pieces of gear, the neck piece, amulet, whatever you want to call it, and the Dead Man's Hat. And again, kind of wasted on her because she's not a necromancer. And again, Cloak of Soul Souls, the penalty to Constitution isn't a thing. But notice now she's cursed. This, if you read the whole thing, she can't remove the cloak without passing a check or having a remove curse cast on her. Otherwise, a Thena demon or Astra demon show up and kicks your fucking ass, and they're mean. So, and she dies immediately from taking the cloak off. So not only will she die immediately for failing the curse, everyone else has to deal with the consequences of the fucking demon being summoned. But again, once you know that that's her thing, and you'd be like, well, don't you usually give her a resistance cloak? Because this is not a resistance cloak, brother. You don't get a +4, +5, even a +6 cloak here. Keep reading on the Della Fiorni crest. Not only to give you a bonus to intelligence and charisma, it also gives you a bonus +5 to all your saves. That's why all these went up, up, and up. And again, that's awesome. This, again, remember my love for having armor. Why? Because it frees up this slot. Same with this. Getting this not only frees up your hat slot, because normally this is what you use for intelligence or charisma or wisdom or ball 3. Now we have that covered with the next slot. So that allows me to get whatever fucking hat I want. Dead Man's Hat could be the choice for me. And then, because of the resistance bonus, that frees up technically my cloak slot. That's what I wanted to tell you here. So again, there's plenty of ways to make this character beefy. I'm not going to micromanage and min-max the shit out of it for you guys, but by and large, know that any build, really, even in the vanilla version of the game, can be power. You just have to get high enough to do it and to find this stuff. You can look for this stuff online. Again, I have the mod, so I can just click it and find out what the hell ever I want. And, I can say, oh, what kind of... Let's take off that one. What kind of short bows can I expect to find? Sorry, short bow. Can I expect to find in the game? Here's the laundry list of short bows in the game. 9 times out of 10, this will be everything that's in the game. Fiery Eye, Prowling Cat's a good one. I'll just take those 2. I'll take Whimsy, Neutralizer, and Bow of the True World. Those are 5 really good short bows for her. So now look at what those short bows can do. We have Bow of the True World, +5, composite bow, solid swing now. And again, Fey Bane. Again, I shut off my rapid shot, otherwise we get 3 attacks. We get Fey Bane, so it's a +2 better than it is right now for here for damage and for there. And it does another 2d6 of damage to all Fey. Again, not impressed with that. And it's probably at the end of the game that you get that one. Here's Fiery Eye. It's Flaming Bow. It's only a +1 composite bow. But it does fire damage on a strike. You need to down a troll with some fire acid damage. Here you go, baby. Okay, not liking that one. Here is the Neutralizer. This one's a weird little nugget. It's not a +4. Notice that every guy you hit with this, you give them protection from your next arrow attacks. What the fuck would you do that for? See the DR10/melee? What does the slash mean? It means anything past the slash means that will penetrate the DR10. So melee attacks will penetrate that DR10. Which means her ranged attacks, her bows or crossbows or arrows or javelins or whatever that's a ranged physical damage, they'll be protected from 10 of that damage. Why would you want to do that? Keep reading. It also inflicts a penalty to their armor class against melee by 4. So basically you set up your team that's melee to soften them up and have your teammates just beat the shit out of them. And go further. Every melee attack deals an additional 4 points of damage. That's awesome. So again, you don't just single target one guy and kill him. No, your job is hit this guy, weaken him, hit the next guy, weaken him, hit the next guy, and that's your job now. Again, you still get sneak attack and all that shit if applicable, but by and large, that's pretty cool, right? Don't like that one? How about we give you the awesome, where's it at? Prowling Cat. Speed Bow. And again, with rapid shot, you'd be from 3 attacks, you'd be up to 4 attacks a round. And with mini shot, that's technically 5 if that first shot hits. That's awesome. Now remember, this does not stack with haste. But what does it stack with? Oops, sorry, wrong thing. It stacks with the ability to buff yourself up with, say, where's it at? Transformation to San Francisco Tree. Remember, I can't cast spells when I'm in this form. Last piece of advice to you guys. +4 to strength, dex, and con. Con doesn't matter for her now, but still, strength and dex is up 4. If you didn't already have something, because it's an enhancement. Nothing fancy there, but again, helps. Notice, extra attack around, actually 2 extra attack rounds, no less, and your BAB went up to 20, because you're level 20. That's what that spell does. It takes whatever character level you are, and increases your BAB to that character level. Basically, it makes you a fighter. Then, it gives you a Fortitude +5 competence bonus, so that's something that she was weak on anyway. Now that's looking pretty good. That's better than her will saves right goddamn now. That's pretty sweet. Then, it gives her extra armor, natural armor +4 for transformation, and it's not natural armor enhancement because those don't stack, but natural armors do. That's a bonus. Awesome. She still has her bracers. She still has whatever armor she could have had on. We can still swap stuff out, switch weapons as you please. But by and large, she's doing really good for herself right now for shooting a target. Yeah, she's not doing epic damage because we didn't take the Deadly Aim or the Arcane Strike. But if you had both of those, like maybe you didn't want those 2 armor feats, those are the 2 that I would pick. I'd pick Deadly Aim, and I'd take Arcane Strike for the build to get rid of the Arcane Armor Training and Arcane Armor Mastery. Again, on you. But she would do epic damage with any good short bow at that point. And again, you'd probably have better gear than this, making her strength higher, her dex higher, or charisma maybe even higher. And again, more health, more fortitude, more reflexes, more will saves if you increase that wisdom. She's a solid tune. She just takes a long time to come online. And until that time, just make sure you keep her in the back barn. Make sure that you have XP share on so that everybody, even the people back in your base, are leveling up, even if they don't come out on the party. Because when you get her to, I'd say, probably about, let's just give you a for instance. Remember you did 1 level of Rogue, you had no choice. 1 level of Wizard, you had no choice. We did 3 levels of Wizard to unlock Arcane Trickster. I'd say by the time you get to this spot, Arcane Trickster level 2 for her, you could probably gear her up pretty good and take her out and not feel super squishy. Just make sure to give her stuff that buffs her con, or in this case, find that hat to make her con go away and goes off of charisma. But you're not finding that anytime soon. And again, like I said, the only real downside of those 2 tricks, the Cloak of Souls and that Dead Man's Hat, is really this. The Opposition School Necromancy. It's the one thing that if I had a mod, which I do, and I could delete it, which I can, I would take this away. I don't mind the transmutation. I don't even mind the penalty with abjuration. But I can't stand that it took away my necromancy spells, because those are some powerful goddamn spells. But again, thematically, for the type of character she is an ex-slave. It kind of makes sense, right? You don't want your slaves buffing themselves. You don't want them raising the dead to gnaw your face off in the middle of the night. And again, transmutation just makes them better workhorses. So technically speaking, the devs made the right call here, as much as I hate to freaking admit it. This is actually a perfect combo for a slave. You would not make them, for example, a specialist in evocation. That's damage spells. You would not even make them a conjurer. Why? Because while you could maybe conjure tools and all that other cool shit, you can also summon pets to eat your face off. So again, they would never do that. They gave them exactly what they needed. Transmutation to make them tough and strong and dexterous and whatever they need for there. And then it made them suck at all the stuff that could basically straight up damage them. But quite frankly, I'm surprised they didn't throw in evocation as one of these. Because, I mean, really, would you want them to have lots of evocation spells to sling around? This would limit their evocation spells. But, again, with a mod, you can change that. But for the vanilla version of the game, this is what you're stuck with. Now, I know this video is 2 hours long, guys, and I do apologize, but there's nothing that can be helped about this. You know how I like to talk, and also know how I like to explain stuff. This is a solid character. And again, vanilla version, anyone can make this character, and I think you'll enjoy it. Just remember when you need to activate these things, make sure to shut them off when combat's over, especially this little fucker, because again, this will continue to burn up and burn up and burn up, because it's per round, so every 6 seconds it'll tick, tick, tick. And I like to save those for the very end. Like I said, I will use my Greater Invis spells first, because that will last you, best case scenario, 19 rounds. That's not bad. Go into a dungeon, you know that the bad guys are around the corner, Greater Invis time. When it wears off, Greater Invis again. When that wears off, then we're down to using these guys. And again, you'd be surprised at how good you get at using her for sneak attack damage, whether it's single target or AoE. She's going to be a master at both. With that, though, my name is Brother Mean. Please like, subscribe, comment down below. Tell me what you guys think about this build. And I'll see you guys soon for Ragangar. Bye now.